Hi, this is Jenny Jones of My Retirement Exit and Retirement Planning TV. What I wanted to do was try to demystify some of the feedback that's been going on when it comes to the current presidential election, right? I have no skin in the game. I don't have a dog in the fight, but I want to just break down some fundamental numbers for you to take a look at to even see why people say the economy the way it is. So just spend with me a couple of minutes and I'm going to show you just a pure breakdown and I'm going to tell you the reason why and give you the case for it being really a tale of two economies when it comes to the retirement. All right, so let's take a look at it. All right, so what we have here, if you take a look here, what we have is, let me tell you what this is. This is an actual graph of the S&P 500. And this is it's compounded annual growth rate from election day. And so just briefly, S&P 500, S&P stands for Standard and Poor's, which is really kind of a snapshot of the overall markets. It's not, there's thousands of different companies that trade on the stock market. But what Standard and Poor's does is they keep a record of the top 500 companies that can kind of give you a good pulse of the overall economy. So you have different sectors, right? You have, maybe the travel sector, maybe you have consumer goods, and so all of them are kind of broken down into these different sectors. And what they do is they try to find the largest company that will represent the overall markets as a whole. And they track that. So it's called the S&P 500. So what you have in front of you now is you have starting on this end, you have Carter, right? And in Carter's presidency, and this is tracking it since election day, right? It's tracking since election day throughout their presidency. Carter had a 5.8% return in the actual markets of the S&P 500. So this basically gives you a snapshot of how each president did from election day throughout their term as president. And so we have Carter at 5.8%, we have Reagan at 9.9 here, and then we have Bush the father, we had 11.2, and then you had Clinton here, the rolling 80s, right, at 16%, right, 16.5. But what happened here? We had a 4.3%, which a negative return, which is more of your recession that we had we had the financial crisis, the financial collapse. That basically is what, out of all the entire markets over the last several presidents, this was the worst one. And as we know, that's basically history. What basically happened was you had not only stocks down, but you had bonds down, which is in the normal fashion of the way the stock market works is if stocks are up, bonds are down. If bonds are down, stocks are up, and vice versa. They have an inverse effect. Stocks being equities of ownership, bonds being debt, right? So you have that turn. The unfortunate part here is both were down at the same time. It's never happened throughout any of the rest of the history of the stock market. So then you had a recovery that went into effect, was a 9.9% return for Obama, and then Obama's carried on here into Trump's administration. And then, so what you have here is 12.1% return. But surprisingly enough, and I don't think people are getting enough credit for this, but Biden had a return of 14.1%. Now, you have to look at that. He's only second. So you had Clinton, who had the best return of his presidency of 16.15 of the last several presidents there. And then you had Biden with number two. It's surprising. Now, here's the challenge, and here's my opinion of what I think happened. I think because of the recovery that happened here during COVID, right, during this time period, I think those companies did well by having those increased prices because initially it was a supply and demand problem. But it was a supply and demand problem. But once the supply and demand problem got fixed, they held at those prices. They never brought the prices back down into what those actual prices were. So when I say it's the tale of two economies, us as the home as the people that's buying the groceries and the products, what essentially happened was we were like, hey, where's our break? Where's our relief? We never got our break and relief, but who benefited? The actual companies benefited here. That's why you have a 14.1% return, because these are companies. This is the overall S&P market. So they had record profits. That's what led to a S&P 500 growth. So even though I was paying more at the pump or the grocery store, my 401k, or those who have 401k, or those who have investments, saw a tremendous leap in their profits and their overall net worth due to the fact that the stock market and the underlying companies did very well. Hey, this has been Jenny Jones. You want to tune in more? We have Retirement Planning TV, and we also have retirement planning tools where we're just breaking down different things, breaking down the fundamentals so that you'd understand what this means to your retirement portfolio. You guys have been great. Thank you so much. Goodbye for now.